me know when we're ready.
Just be one more minute.
How are you, Kevin?
Very blessed, and you?
Thank you, very blessed.
Good.
Also, just a reminder to everyone, don't come to work on Friday. Unless you work in a job that has to work on Friday. Most people don't come to work on Friday.
Okay.
Okay. And back to our agenda here. Okay. Very good. We'll go ahead and call this meeting of the Budget Board to order. And we'll go ahead and call the roll.
Okay.
Why don't we go ahead and start on the, if you're looking at the dais to the right.
Will Blake in for Sheriff Taylor.
David Hooten, present.
Rick Warren, present.
Commissioner Bloomer, present.
Michael
I am
Taylor.
present via video.
Oh, excuse me, sir.
Taylor?
Michael Taylor for Commissioner Brian Mon. Butch Freeman, present.
Larry Stein, present.
Okay. Thank you all very much. Item one, let's, as I mentioned on the BOCC meeting, I'm self-quarantining just because of an exposure.
Excuse me, Commissioner.
Hopefully everything will be okay.
Commissioner.
So, yes,
Could we do the Pledge of Allegiance? Would you mind if we pledge the flag?
we can. Actually, the next item was technically to
Yeah, I'll motion to.
set a date, time, and place in case we can't. If you don't mind, let's go ahead and take that. And then, yes, and in fact, since you asked, I'd like you to lead the pledge.
Okay, motion
But
to,
let's go ahead and,
motion to.
I would recommend, since we have we recessed our BOCC meeting to allow for a new blanket purchase order resolution at 3, so I would move that in the event that there are technical difficulties that can't be resolved within 30 minutes, that we recess, or we reconvene this meeting at 3:10 p.m. I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Second.
Okay, and I think we have to call the roll, correct, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, because you're here in person, Mr. Hooten, so we'll have to call the roll, correct? Okay.
Butch Freeman,
Here. Yes.
David Hooten,
Yes.
Rick Warren,
Yes.
Kevin Calvi,
Yes?
Carrie Bloomer,
Yes.
Larry Stein,
Yes.
Michael Taylor,
Yes.
Will Blake.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. That's when it'll be reconvened. Members, I'm looking through a fairly lengthy agenda and seeing as how it takes some time to go through there is nothing on this agenda that I really care to weigh in on. And rather than put us all through a very lengthy meeting where we have to call the roll every time, I'm going to excuse myself from the meeting and hand over the gavel to, I'm sorry, who is the vice chair?
Butch Freeman.
Well, is it, normally, are you the vice chair?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so Mr. Freeman, I'm going to hand the gavel over to you, and I'm just going to excuse myself from the meeting. It'll take 10 times longer to do it without this, and there's nothing particularly on this agenda that I wish to wait. So I'm just going to excuse myself from the meeting and call it a small act of mercy to all of you sitting there that we don't have to do that. So
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and excuse myself and hand the gavel over to.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Continuing on, notice of this meeting was posted on Monday, June 29th. The next is Pledge of Allegiance, and I think that our court clerk has already volunteered to do this.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Okay, items 2 through a bunch.
2 through
2 through 34 are consent items. Do we have a motion on?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any questions, any comments, anyone that needs to be pulled out? Hearing none? Roll call? Oh, I'm sorry, we decided we don't have to have this vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
If anything controversial.
Uh-oh, he's still coming in.
Hold on one second.
We hang up on it?
He needs to hang up.
Mute him and off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just to clarify, that was a unanimous consent.
Yes.
Okay, we ready to continue now? All right. Item number 35 is discussion possible action on resolution to transfer appropriations from our general fund reserve to general government 110, $309,000 for the sheriff's office lease in the Kraus building, and requested by Denny Honeycutt. I've got several questions on this particular item. Okay? My first question is this: why are we charging the sheriff's department to lease the Kraus? Anyone tell me?
And the Kraus building isn't even on bonds or standing for anything.
You said why or
Why?
how much, or what?
Why? If we were charging them $1, I'd ask the same question. In this case, we're charging them a lot more than that, and incidentally, what we're doing, and that's what this item is about, is a request to put this in out of our reserve into the general fund so we can transfer $309,000 from the general fund into PBA. And I'm against that. Now, I'm also against that from a procedural standpoint. If the sheriff's going to have to pay to lease our own facilities where there's no bonds or any other reason, with all due respect, we've got 2 county commissioners and public defender that's in the exact same situation, but they're not paying a penny. So in the interest of fairness, I'll go either way, but interest of fairness, I think it needs to be one way or the other. My personal opinion is we should not be charging the commissioners. We should not be charging the public defender. We should not be charging the sheriff. I do not understand it.
Aaron, it was my understanding that we were charging the sheriff rent because the DA's office told us we had to.
And why?
Well, there's a couple things presented by your question. First off, it's not a budget board decision to charge rent, but it is a PBA decision because it is a PBA property. And as a separate legal entity that is separate from the county, it can't give favoritism to the county. There's legal issues that become involved when rent or even a nominal rent is charged in those circumstances. And some of them deal with the requirement of separation between the county and a public trust that must be there. But as always, this is the legal opinion of the DA's office. You're always free to follow it or disregard it as you choose.
All right. You've just given, and I'll accept that explanation, I already said that. Then why are we not charging the 2 commissioners and the public defender?
I can't answer that. That's not a decision that I make.
Does the amount have to be, can the amount be less?
It should be approximately or fairly close to fair market value. A nominal, even a nominal rent can present legal issues.
So
But again,
are we establishing fair market value when we have a building next door that does have bonds on it that we're allowing people to pay no rent? Wouldn't that somewhat establish a pattern?
well, establishing fair market value and establishing a pattern to me are 2 different things. But again, the decision not to charge rent and what amount to charge is not for this body, it's for the PBA, and why the PBA elected to charge some rent to others and no rent to others.
Thank you.
But
It's a policy
it is not, I hear it's not up to us. You've made that very clear. But the funding is up to us, is it not?
True.
Okay.
Aaron, has any elected official ever been charged rent?
I can only go off of my own memory. I believe Commissioner Mon was charged rent for the time that he was at,
Lincoln.
thank you.
Okay.
And then,
And I think it was fairly close to fair market value, but that's just off of my own memory. I can't attest to that.
Thank you.
I tried to find that, and I couldn't find where he paid rent. I was looking-
How much you?
I don't know.
I looked for it, and I couldn't find it.
I don't know.
Cody, it's my understanding that this coming fiscal, or starting today, that we, District 1, and I assume District 2, are paying rent in the ICB.
District 1, and I'm assuming District 3 as well, did get notification from Mr. Monroe that our lease, we will need to enter a lease for this fiscal year, for the portion of time that we're going to be there, because it may not be the full fiscal year, but it'll be at the $13.50 per foot that has been established across the board for all of the leased spaces that the county has.
Has anyone given this word to Mr. Rabbits?
I don't know. I know District 1 we had a bill slid under our door that let us know what it was. So I'm assuming that the other tenants in that building have been notified as such. There was an item several weeks ago on PBA that established $13.50 as the rate across the board for all of those spaces.
So we're going to
Where
take
is
it out of one pocket and put it in the other. That's basically what we're, even though it's a separate entity, we're taking county money out of one pocket and putting it in another, and putting it in a position where it's in a reserve, where at one point we had $7 million, now we have, like, $4.5 million?
But PBA is it's not a county.
Right, it's a
entity.
separate entity, but it's still.
Correct.
Rolls by any of the name. I mean, it's still,
It's still county money that's coming out of county general going into PBA, where the restricted use of it is limited to a vote from 3 people. 3 people. Correct? Now, where is Mr. Monroe?
On his way to California?
Mr. Monroe was here a moment ago because I saw him in the hall.
And just to, I don't know if this is going to stir the pot even more, but we are charging the jail trust $1 a year to lease the jail. So if we really do want to be fair, if that's your argument,
That's my argument.
then, and again, this is for the commissioners to decide and the PBA trustees to decide, but we're charging the jail trust $1 a year, and to me, I think that's fair. I know that doesn't feel fair across the board, but anyway.
Yeah, I think that's something that could be looked at on the policy and governance side. I think
Yeah.
listening to Ms. Etherington earlier, it's a little bit of a different situation because we're not treating, in that situation, the trust different than we would treat somebody else because we're not going to, that space isn't open for anybody else to
Right.
come and lease. That's
Right.
for that particular purpose. And the understanding on District 1, District 3, and some of the, other folks that have been moved around due to the asbestos issue on 6. It was kind of on a temporary basis, so there wasn't a lease in there. But what I came up to speak to, the commissioner wanted me to speak to, was the fact that we will be paying the $13.50 a month, or $13.50 a foot for this fiscal year and entering into a lease agreement. And I'm assuming District 3 would be doing likewise, and I'm assuming that Mr. Rabbits would be doing likewise. Now, we would need to then look at funding for Mr. Rabbits potentially.
they also
for
issued
that.
us a notice. We got one for the basement. I slid it back under the door. They need to bring it up to a standard. If you want to correct $13.50 a month, bring it up to the standard of a $13.50 a month building.
If Mr. Monroe were here, could he comment on why he why he decided on $13.50 a foot?
In my discussions with him, and what I recall at PBA was he indicated that $13.50 a foot was the market rate in this area. I think he had said, $13 to $15 a foot, and he had settled at a $13.50 recommendation, and that if any of the tenants in there want upgraded areas, then in their lease, that can be built into where they pay temporarily more than $13.50 to pay for those modifications, and then once those modifications are paid for, then it would revert back down to the $13.50 a foot. That's generally how those lease agreements work.
Well, I'm going to move approval of item 35, but I am very happy to continue this discussion in PBA or direct our staff to continue this discussion in PBA advisory or infrastructure, so.
All right, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Thank you, Cody.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I have a question about Mr. Monroe. At whose direction did Mr. Monroe decide $13.25, and what was the result of that decision?
Bill.
Do we know?
I mean, he reports to the commissioners, and Cody just said that $13.50 a square foot is fair market value for this area.
So as Cody mentioned, Keith basically did an analysis of market rate for the downtown area for rent based upon the condition of the building. So A, B, C, I think is typically the way that's referred to in terms of office space class. Keith then came before the PBA and made a recommendation that the rental rate be $13.50 a square foot. So it was the PBA that signed off on Mr. Monroe's recommendation.
I'm going to guess that I guess I won't, but Mr. Ravitch really needs to weigh in on this. What would Mr. Ravitch's bill be?
But we don't have any say over his budget at all, right? His budget is not a county
No, it's not.
budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's court fund.
Okay, we had a motion and a second to approve this item. I'm probably going to vote for it, but the reason I'm going to vote for it is because you're in the building. Of course, I guess if we didn't vote to give you the money, then it's up to PBA to kick you out, right? That's interesting.
I think,
All right, wait, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I mean, if we were to vote no, that would force the issue, not to complicate the issue, but we are the purse strings.
Okay. And as was pointed out by the DA, we have no say on contracts, but we do have say on whether or not they're funded.
Under Sheriff Blake, do you have any comments?
Can we make this a moot point by just selling this building back to the county from the PBA?
That's a discussion for the PBA to have, or the commissioners to have.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve item 35. I think we will do roll call on this, okay? Okay.
Butch Freeman.
No.
David Hooten.
No.
Rick Warren.
No.
Carrie Blumert.
Yes.
Larry Stein.
No.
Michael Taylor.
Aye.
Will Blake.
Yes.
Let's go back up to the tally just a second.
Yeah, there's 7.
There's 7 of us here, aren't there?
Can't pull that up.
No, we're not. I'm sorry. There are 6. It's 6, but, no, there's 7 of us. Yeah, there's 7 of us.
How could it be 3-3? It's not.
It's 4-3. I miscounted.
It's-
It was Mr. Warren's vote, but I missed.
So it's 4-3,
Motion fails.
motion failed.
There we go. Okay. That is the correct tally. Motion fails. Item number 36, discussion possible action to approve a resolution for the interfund transfer from general fund cash to employee benefits in the amount of $1 million.
Motion to
Danny?
All right, this board approved a transfer of $3.4 million to employee benefits. We're only doing $1 million at this time just because of the cash flow and low cash balances at this time of year. Same with the next 2 items.
Same with the next two items, okay? So item 36, you have a motion?
Yes, Larry motioned and I seconded.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, I'm assuming. Item 37, same explanation.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve item number 37, which is the money, $100,000 for workers' comp. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any noes? Passes. Item 38, same explanation. This is the self-insurance fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 39, discussion possible action, transfer of general fund appropriations to general government 110 criminal justice authority line item in the amount of $30,218,508 for the detention budget for fiscal year 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. Discussion. I've got some comment or question. This is the $30 million then that's being set up for criminal justice, and that this is the money against which the Criminal Justice Authority will draw against. Christie, is that correct? And Danny? Okay.
This is just the appropriation.
It's what?
This is just the appropriation.
Okay, this is strictly the appropriation, keeping in mind that the authority is a cash basis authority. But this at least gets it started, and this basically sets their budget for the year, understanding that we all have a chance for a September update. Am I correct in all of that? Okay. Did we have a motion and a second on this item?
Yes.
We did we not?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 40, renewal agreement between Deer Oaks and Oklahoma County effective today. It's the employee assistance plan, Deer Oaks. Where's John?
Good morning. There are no changes to this agreement. This is just a standard renewal for our employee assistance program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, John.
Item 41 is the renewal agreement between Vision Service and Oklahoma County. John?
No changes to this agreement. This is for our vision plan administration services.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further questions, comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next is citizens' participation. Are there any citizens who have signed up and like to address this august body?
It's just July.
It's just you. Okay, seeing none. Board comments. We're going to start down with the sheriffs.
No comment.
I'd like just again to reiterate, and our thoughts and prayers go out to Commissioner Mon and his family for their loss.
I'd like to echo that, and little Ben and Brian and the little mother is all in our prayers. And I'd also like to say that we're very glad that the treatment is okay, and that he got treatment.
Thank you. You know what? I didn't know you could rebuild a heart, but I'm slowly but surely getting one rebuilt. We're up to 3 out
They
of
don't
4.
break it.
That'll be a
Chill here.
first. Yeah.
I'm going to be like the $6 million man before this is over with. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Commissioner? Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Okay. Outside of just echo what's been said, certainly in our thoughts and prayers, said beyond words, and may the good Lord lift them up, which we know he will.
Happy birthday, America. Have a safe
That's
4th of
right.
July.
Here, here.
Here, here. Any new business? Hearing none, do we have a motion to
Motion to
adjourn?
adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.